Hello, everyone. Welcome back to part two of this evening's as we record Football Uncensored podcast with myself, Rob Kirton, and of course John Sitton. Apologies, I kind of cut us off at the end there without us getting cut off, just as John was trying to explain one or two things. So we'll briefly go back to that before we conclude a bit on the Denmark game with John's thoughts on it, and then look ahead to Tuesday's game against Serbia. So John, straight back over to you.
Just very quickly, Rob, I don't want it to sound like I look like I'm begging for attention. What I said about listening, people, if there's a pecking order, a pyramid of listening to who I'm expected to listen to, then I expect it to be reciprocated. The irony being the people I'll mention, they've may have managed, but probably never coached. I know for sure at least one of them who just used to do little drills. And when you look at it, I think that's that's part of the problem with England. There's no, they're trying to be in synopsis form. They're trying to be sophisticated in their build-up like their European counterparts, without the practice, without the pedigree, without the history, without the identity, which other countries have got. Consequently, we've veered away from our own identity. That's changed 3 or 4 times. I distinctly remember one of them being about the German thing, getting from box to box within 7 seconds when you win it back. So that tells me you're probably talking about a more direct approach as opposed to a slow, deliberate build up. And there, like I said, there don't appear to be any defensive strategy to address we should be pressing as a team outcry. We should be pressing from the front. What's got to happen? Someone's got to go to trigger it. Well, it's like I said, you know, the formula is wherever it used to be. It's gone out me nuts. Something so many years ago. Where, when, why, how? Something like that. Where you do it, when you do it, why you do it, how you do it. And I don't think that's been. You can't cobble together a group of so-called elite players who I think they've probably been let down in their education. And hope for the best, which is what it looks like. We got done in Russia by Croatia. We got done by the Italians. We're getting done again. We went out earlier in Qatar, and now we're getting done again. And I distinctly remember, just to snap it into a little bit of perspective and focus. I always remember something he said. George Graham went over to try and do a deal. I was watching a reserve game with him and Chris Turner, Steve Birkinshaw, and George, and I think he repeated it in the press, but anyway, we were just talking. He said, look, because he was kept on at one player, and I was just standing there listening, and I just thought, when I see this player, I thought, Jesus, you know, there could have been a cause for me to make a comeback. Anyway, he just said, I remember him saying, even the best of players need a structure. Even the best teams, the best players, and they've got to have a structure. They need to be organised. Paraphrase, but even the best players need to be organised. To me, it don't look like that's the case with England at the moment.
No, I was going to say, just pick up on a couple more points about the Denmark game and and then we could lead into how things could, arguably should change for Serbia.
Yeah.
Our left-hand side again, I thought we were just a little bit exposed again, and I don't want to make Trippier the scapegoat any less or more than I would Trent Alexander-Arnold, because Trippier is another square peg in a round hole and doing a fair job.
Yeah, he's took a risk, hasn't he?
He's doing a fair job. Foden has been, as we alluded to last week, has been shunted to the left out of his natural comfort zone. But again, he's doing a fair job, but he's not in his natural position.
Yeah.
And that, I think, for me, that showed up in both games. And it just shows the folly of, and also with the injury news of Luke Shaw, we've got no natural left back in the squad entirely, which is madness to me. And do we need to address? It seems to me we certainly need to address something on the left hand side, if nowhere else in the team. But it looked like again against Denmark, just it did against Serbia.
Well, you
Everything we
can't.
did,
You can't.
well,
You can't address it because he's taken a gamble. And it even goes back to people like Capello, who said, and maybe even Hodgson, I'm not sure. We're not going to take players out of form. We're not going to take players who are not fit. They go to South Africa, one of them, I forget when they took Ledley King, and you're looking at a game every 4 days, and he could only play a game every 2 weeks. Where's the
yeah,
sense? You understand? It's madness. You might get 1 game a week, and then he's got to have a 1 week layoff. At the time out of Ledley, who I had as a kid at Orient, and Tottenham nicked him. Right, so I knew him very well. I coached him for a good season. Now the bottom line is what he's done. He's rolled the dice and he's took a gamble with a couple of things, like we spoke about in previous episodes last week, when I said it's almost spit in the face to midfield players with regards to playing Trent Alexander-Arnold in midfield, in front of Bowen, in front of Gallagher, in front of Palmer. And you look at him, Cole Palmer's another one. And when I flicked it on the radio after interacting with my customers, and I'm listening to Talk Sport, and the two pundits on now so it got to the stage where it was like a self-effacing Mickey take. Because they're English. Jamie and Jason, they're English, and but they're making fun to try and take away the pain of the England performance. This is where we're at, self-ridicule. The only way they're getting through it, he's getting through it, is because of his experience, Trippier. And we've got good experienced players who should be bossing it, but they've got to boss it in the right way. I suspect Cole. This is one of the other points I wanted to make. There seemed to be when it was going a bit south, we seem to be lacking in leadership. You've got Stones. How many tournaments has he had now? And what's he, 30? Coming up to 30? You've got Pickford. Okay, likewise. But he's got to stop remonstrating and playing to the gallery, as in the cameras. You've got Kyle Walker. I think he leads probably more by example than vocally, although he will have to think of the odd word. You've got Kane. And then you've got Bellingham. And I think at his age, it's possibly, even though he's assumed massive responsibility, I still think it's too much at his age, whereby, you know what I mean, I'd even step in and just say, look, stop overindulging yourself. And I wouldn't be that thing to his face whereby he's suffering from a bit of saviour complex, but he seems to me he's wanting to do too much, and he's going into areas where he shouldn't be going, and he's crowding it. That's the way I see it.
yeah, maybe. I think you're definitely on something there with Bellingham. He's possibly bought into a. Hopefully not. He seems quite a level-headed bloke, a young bloke. He seems, maybe he's bought into a little bit of the fact that he is being hyped as England's star man, and he's possibly seeing around him this isn't going well.
Yeah, it's coming from a good place. It's coming from a good place. Yeah,
I've got to try and do something about it, and it's
yeah.
And he's trying to do a bit of a David Beckham against Greece back in the day.
Yeah. Whereas he covered every blade of grass, you know what I mean? But Greece made the pitch big that day anyway by retreating very deep. So he had a lot of thing to operate in. But yeah, I think it's coming from a good place, Rob. But it's just misguided, and that's as a consequence of his very young age. Yeah, I mean, let's see. I mean, if it's possible to make changes, he's got to make changes.
When I was talking about the left side, you're quite correct. We've got no real option at left back. We can play another right-footed left back or another out position instead of Trippier. But will they do a better job? What I was more sort of trying to get at was the attacking left side.
Yeah.
Because we do have options there, and someone who we and more apparently you have championed on previous episodes. We've got a natural left-sided attacking player in Anthony Gordon, who had a tremendous season and hasn't had a minute yet.
Well, it's like the other night. He must be looking at it. I don't know. Did he not put them on because he didn't think of them? Is it he don't trust them? Is it because there wouldn't be many caps between the sides? Is it because they'd be throwing two inexperienced players on to try and dig him out of a sticky situation, as in Palmer and Gordon? But I think you're 100% right, because for the simple reason, like, take the other night, here's what I'm talking about. And this would highlight it perfectly, right? When I said about getting Saka in off the line. So if they're playing 5 at the back, they've got 3 centre backs. Get in off the line and give them a marking problem. But even play between the full back and the centre back, or make the centre back make a decision. Do I go man for man on him? Right, and on the other side, do I go man for man on Foden? So we're basically 3v3, but in the central thing. Well, Gordon's perfect at that, because what you've got to do, you've got to engage the fullback and try and commit. If you're coming up against a back 5, which we can't seem to deal with, one of the things I'll be saying to him is engage your fullback and get against him. Then when you get the ball, turn and get at him. But because you're coming in on your strong foot, right? Commit the nearest centre back. You understand? Because if you give him a decision to make, he's saying, "Well, do I stay as a insurance? If it's Watkins, if it's Kane, whoever playing up the middle, do I and protect me centre back who's playing up the middle, or do I shuffle over?" Which is a team they should do, to be honest with you, as you should, and keep it compact, right? But I think he'd be very good at coming in off the line with a pace. And committing the near side centre back. Then it's about the end product, which I'll be honest with you, against Iceland we didn't have, or it might have been the one after. But there was one. I'm almost sure it was the Iceland one. What was the one where? Yeah, it was the Iceland. You know, it's just the end product was very poor. That final pass, that final shot, or recognising when to cross it early, whip it in behind a retreating back line. We didn't do it, or if we did do it, we didn't execute it well enough.
One player who did have a good game against Denmark, which says a lot in many ways, was Mark Gay, the centre half. I thought he was probably our man of the match. He was he made one error and atoned for it virtually immediately. It was and recovered it well, but that's encouraging for us, because centre back, as you've cited, is a problem. But if our centre back was okay, that's just me being subjective or objective rather, was our man of the match, in my view, that's not a great. It's not really the greatest advert going forward.
No, that's right. And I thought he made more than one in terms of nearly getting caught in possession and getting it stuck under his feet. I just think it's one of them where he could still play his own game, but be just share the ball quickly. I think it's one of them positions where if you're looking to open it up widthways, or you're looking to open it up and dissect through the thirds, you've got to give the time you've got to your teammate. So share it on quickly. That's the only criticism I'd have of him. But we ain't really seen anyone get it. And when we did, we were found wanting a little bit. So I think there's like I said before, there's bigger tests to come, and I'll be pleasantly surprised and maybe even shocked if we stand up to it. Left side, we left Rashford at home. We left Grealish at home. Jack Grealish never went. So I think Gordon's your only option. And if you want to open it up so you can keep the pitch big instead of turning it back in, I always said it. I said it when they first done it. He can't cross the ball on the run, which is the best time to cross it behind the retreating back 4. He can't get half a yard and dink it into a nice area because he's not left-footed. He's got to check back on his right foot, which basically everyone's got to check their run. Your forwards have got to check their run, and it gives the defenders time to adjust. And then all you do, you just mark inside to out, shuffle in. Then you're marking inside to out. You should be first to the ball. So I think if he could get Shaw in, that'd be a plus. And that's nothing against Trippier. I think he's done a very professional job there. The rest will probably stay the same. The goalkeeper will stay the same. Centre backs, Kyle Walker, that will stay the same. I want to see Saka mix his game up. I want to see. I'd have a word with Bellingham about his Messiah complex and be more disciplined. Declan Rice, he was very poor on the night. He's just got to get back to basics. Then it's about what strategies you want. You don't play if you want someone to hunt the ball down. If you want someone to hunt the ball down and chase the ball down and put people under pressure, then you play Gallagher. So you can't say, "Oh, we're going to experiment And that what we'll do, we'll see what happens. You listen, when you're talking about football, Rob, when you're coaching, when you're talking to a player, right? It's either it's basically, it's like I was talking about earlier. I'm not trying to get attention. I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet. Da, da, da. Things only fall into two categories. You're either talking complete sense or you're talking bollocks. And a lot of the time, pundits and managers and coaches talk bollocks for the cameras. And I would say a lot of the time, I suggest a lot of the time, because they've limited their options, and that's down to player education, right? The other thing is, if you're talking a lot of sense, then you then got to say, in order, how do we want to approach it? So how do we want to approach it? If they're talking about pressing, when you say, well, have we got the players to press? Well, the answer is no. Definitely not with Kane starting. If you put someone who's a bit quicker, a bit more physically, he's very crafty, Tony. I've watched him, the way he defends from the front for Brentford. He'll do what the Hungarian done tonight. He'll do things like bend his run. He'll do things like stop the game. Just to turn it into a little bit of an ugly game. Stop, start. In that case, Watkins has got the most pace out of the three, I would think. After that, you're looking at Bowen, you're looking at Gallagher, Bellingham possibly, if you want to play a high pressing game. If you don't, then he'll leave most of it as it is. I reckon he'll leave but I want to see more variety, and I've just given them some ideas on the variety. Getting off the line and create the overload inside, or create the man for man inside, and see how they deal with that. Because you look at it now, any scouting reports, if they've got the players, the opposition have got the players, and someone need to. When you get your Spains, your Frances, your Germanys, although I think they got beat 1-0, didn't they, Germans?
I was just going to say, is both games have just finished as we record now. Germans got injury time equaliser.
There's a shock.
And the Hungarians got a late winner. So Germany topped the group.
Yeah.
Swiss second, Hungary third, Scotland, as you said last week,
coming on. Yeah. So any pundits that talk bollocks, I know. If you'd have asked John Carver and Steve Clarke and McGinn before the thing, would they take this last game? And they had to win this last game. They won game, and they need to. Nah, football don't work like that. No, you don't. You just say no. To be honest, no, I wouldn't. Al, I'd rather have the points in the bag. I'll be honest with you. I'd rather have a draw and a win already. To be truthful with you, I don't really want to go into the last game having to win it, because inevitably the outcome's a foregone conclusion, and it's just nonsense. It's all nonsense. That fucking I can't be having it anyway. Never mind.
No. With switching back to England, obviously that's what we're mainly talking about. But there's a bit of clamour, like pre-tournament and over the last few years, there's been clamour for Southgate to include the form players and be bold and not pick players on past reputation or just because they play for a big club, etc., etc. There was an article at the weekend, I think it was in the Guardian. It's almost as if he's gone a bit too. He's listened to that a bit too much, and he's picked. I think you talked about it last week. He's picked some form players, which is good, but they play for mid-table clubs, so are they international pedigree? Was what you were referring to last week. But has he almost gone a bit too far and gone a bit too far away from his comfort zone, which not everyone likes, but has served us well up to a point in previous tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised because I think he's very good at it. You've got all this noise going on around you. And it's like I said to you, and it's no different for a national manager. And he's England's national manager. I said every club has got to have its own agenda. And it's the same with you and your coaching staff. You've got to be a unit within the unit within the unit. And you've got to have your own agenda. And if you're going to go that route, then, which he has, I don't agree with some of the selections. He's picked 4 players from a team who, what did we say, there was 10th or 11th or 12th. He come on and looked totally off the pace, totally out of his depth.
He did.
Yeah. So I might even know what I'm looking at and what I'm talking about. And then you look at the other thing, at the other end of it, what have they got to do to get a game? Gordon, who's had a good season, especially when he listened to what we were saying on podcast about getting inside and off the front man and letting a few go. He started to curl a few in the far corner. And Cole
He's
Palmer's
definitely watching.
yeah. Cole Palmer's the obvious one. Well, what's he got to do to get a game? He's
God
just
knows.
he's probably had his best season ever in his career. Got Chelsea like bang out of jail with the amount of goals and assists he got. Almost to the extent where not the case at City, you know what I mean? Like a little tiddler in a big pond, and now he's gone to Chelsea and he's a big fish in a swimming pool. You understand what I mean? So in that respect, I think to myself, if you've picked him on form, and
Why ain't he playing?
just throw him in and let him have a game. But then again, like we spoke earlier, we can't believe what he said post-match interview. Although I didn't see it or hear it, I'll be honest, because when I showed the game when I got home, but there was no preamble and there was no post-match interviews. It was just the game, and then the credits come up.
Yeah, that's ITV, innit? I don't like that.
No, the BBC when I got home.
BBC, was it? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
BBC, yeah. So the point being, yeah, it's not really the time to be experimenting. But it sort of goes against the rub in terms of it's against the rub in terms of then why pick informed players if they're not tried and trusted in internationals. And he's bombed the likes of Rashford, he's bombed the likes of Jack Grealish. You know, it's food for thought unless you're looking at some sort of attitude towards one of them being a wild card, an unknown entity who can explode on the scene and surprise a team. That might be the case with Cole. I don't know. Then you go back even further, Sterling, people like that, who you know, going on about it's our most potent forward threat. Then got to start showing it. I don't see it as a potent forward threat because as I'm telling you, as a defender, for 2 games, everything's been in front of me. What I'm worried about is I'm worried about down here, getting rolled, getting run under the ball and spin in, the dink down the side, the run into the channel. That's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about pass. All you do is you just adjust. You understand? Mark accordingly, inside to out, outside to in line with the ball. If it gets rolled in, make sure you get in line with the ball so you don't get rolled. But you understand, we ain't got the players who are trying it. We don't try it.
No, it doesn't seem to it. And again, just going back to post match England Denmark, they interviewed Kyle Walker straight after the game, and he was a little bit defensive, obviously, because he was I suppose that's a natural thing. He's just finished the game, his adrenaline's going, the microphone's stuck under your nose, and he's asked a challenging question about the poor performance and etc. etc. And he started talking about we can't be expected to steamroller these teams all the time, etc. etc. Southgate was interviewed again afterwards, and worryingly, also, in addition to the experimenting, etc., he seemed to cite preparation and fitness, but specifically a potential lack of either amongst some players, and it's just really bad signs, John. Isn't it? It's not giving off good signals.
Both statements are, from my personal point of view, preposterous because I've never said they should steamroller teams, and I'm quite comfortable with taking on board. And I'm open-minded enough and intelligent enough and know enough about football to know that that's not going to be the case. Although there are certain teams you steamroller, your Andorras, etc. But Denmark, I'm looking, if it stays 1-0 and it's a competent 1-0, I'm an happy bunny. But I knew it weren't going to be. I know you're always on tenterhooks. With regards to the other thing, I don't understand it. It sounds to me very much like excuses because with all the data, again, it's all hypothetical, and some would say, it's like I say, there's 2 things set in stone. Either absolute like massive footballing common sense, like life common sense, and absolute codswallop and total bollocks. Well, you know, all this fucking heat maps and all this, Mark, you understand what I'm trying to say? I'm looking out thinking to myself, well, when you look at you highlighting someone's heat map and now they got around the pitch in the first game, the first half of the first game, well, all of a sudden as it turned to mush with regards to us being off the pace in the second game, and all of a sudden you pluck one out of thin air as an excuse about fitness and etc. etc. You know, so what do I mean by it? Is it because they haven't had long enough rest? Is it because they never had enough rest? Well, that's down to you, because you can adjust the training program accordingly. You can do the training camp accordingly, or when you get them in and you see the signs, you can give them a mini pre-season and then get them on the gear, the creatine and all that, all the supplements. I don't see it as a problem with other footballing nations. So I don't know where they pulled it out of. And if that's the case, then don't select them. You want people who like an unbelievably sharp and passionate about playing for their country. And over my dead body kind of attitude. I see a thing from Paul Gascoigne going on about the when Butcher cut his head and all that.
Yeah.
And the way it was in the '90 World Cup. All this, this is my house. No one comes into my house and does this is my house. No, and you understand. And but he said Bobby Robson said to him, and then when he had his head knitted up and fit back, he said, "You see, son, this is what it should be like, and what it should mean to play for your country." And yeah, I don't question that. I don't question that. What I do question is I question some of the antics on both sides. And at the end of the day, you know, we're talking about 12 o'clock. So I think it's probably now 3, 4, 5 minutes past midnight. Now he's on the way down. He peaked in Russia, bought into the thing, getting back together with the fans, the communication with the thing, media friendly camp, player fan friendly camp. The big thing at the end, the waistcoat, all that was our best chance. And then his ego comes into it. One more. We've got a good group of players here. All right, I'll hold my hands up. Me and Stevie Holland, we got totally outthought tactically. We couldn't handle Croatia's one up front that turned into 3-4-3 or 2-5-3, I should say, with Modric bossing it. We should have pushed someone in to help out in midfield. We should have pushed someone up to occupy their back two. They would have pulled someone back as insurance. So we should have thrown someone on to help Kane instead of leaving Kane up there isolated. And who knows if they'd have listened. Like if I'm someone like Steve Holland and I'm bossing, I'm saying we need someone up there to help Harry to occupy the second defender. They'll need insurance. They'll pull back a third defender. That'll lighten things in midfield, and we're still safety in numbers at the back. Even if we push someone in to help nullify the overloading midfield with Modric running thing. No one said that. We got totally outthought tactically, and they played round us and won the game all right. Then you've got the thing Italy on penalties that can go any way, but he does things like I don't believe in. It's different for a goalkeeper. The goalkeeper can come on cold and be a hero and save a penalty. I don't think players are warmed up and into the pace of the game and mentally sharp in terms of getting up to the ball and making that contact with the ball. I don't think they can come in like he brought 2 players in cold to take penalties. I didn't believe in that for 1 minute, but I think that's where we peaked, I'm afraid to say. And I think it was shown in the last one. But what happens is your ego kicks in, and even the thing, it kicked in with me. Let's keep going. Don't give in. Don't come across as a coward. Don't come across as a quitter. Don't come across as someone who's who'll rescind on his beliefs. We'll keep when we're trying to grind out results. And I just think after that was it. What was it? Last 8 Qatar? Was we last 8? Anyway.
I think so.
Anyway, this one I can't. I'll be surprised if we get past that. If we get past that stage in this competition as well. And my belief is he's at 12. I think you've got to go in. You've got to show the players you're going to be technically and tactically adept, and you mean business, and get their attention. And I just think everything looked like it was off the cuff, and we only beat teams that we should have beat. And then you get the shit about, oh, you know, you can only beat what's put in front of you. Well, no, I expect us to beat the teams that put in front of us in terms of your Colombias and all this malarkey. You know what I mean? So I'm not I'm not jumping up and down and thing with highly delighted that we've beat Colombia in a World Cup and what's his name the other week, and Serbia the other week. You know what I mean? I think the reality is what we've seen. Now we've got this mob coming up. Now we've got this mob coming up Tuesday. It needs changes. If Luke Shaw's fit, he's got to play just to open the game out, which it will. Give us an opportunity to cross the ball on the run, to fade balls in, a retreat behind a retreating back three, back four, back five, however they play. I'd like to see Gordon on the left getting in off the line and engaging the fullback and running him inside. That's a threefold thing. It gives the nearest centre-back something to think about, as well as the fullback defending him and tracking him and trying to win the ball and jockeying him. It gives the nearest centre-back something to think about, the nearest midfield player to think about. And lastly, it clears the space for the fullback as he gets in off the line. I'd like to see the same on the other side. Saka, he don't mix his game up enough. Too predictable now. Too predictable now. I'm talking about with and without the ball. Just go for it. Come in. He's either got to come with you or he stays to keep his shape. If he don't come with you, we've got an overload. Then it's about slotting him in. A lot of improvement. He's got to make his mind up how he wants to play. If he wants to press, well, who your players will press? I've named them.
I'd love to see Gordon in the side. We both would. Who do we see as making way to accommodate Gordon to play on the left? Because obviously someone's going to have to drop out to achieve that. Do we see an adjustment in formation to try and accommodate?
No, don't have to.
Everyone else?
No, don't have to. If you've done, it's too late now. It's too late. What I said about being tactically adaptable, but starting with a 5-diamond-1 can evolve into anything. You know, 2-3-5, 2-5-3, 3-4-3, 4-3-3. It can evolve into anything. That's why I think it's the best formation. But it's too late now to experiment. So he'll probably go. And I think if he's going to make a change be sure for Trippier, obviously the other three will be the same. The keeper will be the same. Bellingham and Rice will be the same. Then he's got to make his mind up. Does he want to go with Alexander-Arnold alongside Rice, or does he go with Gallagher, who's going to hunt the ball better than Alexander-Arnold? So what you're doing, you're exchanging one quality for another. I think a better all-round player, Alexander-Arnold's a better all-round player than Gallagher in terms of free kick delivery, in terms of long-range passing. Okay, Gallagher's a different type of player. Then on the right, you probably go with Saka, although I'd like to see him give Bowen a run out from the start. Then do you want your talisman, who's a world-class goal scorer, but slowly but surely over the last 3 championships, his legs have gone and he can't threaten the back? Do you keep him in, or do you exchange him for a bit more pace in Ollie Watkins? And then I would bring, obviously you've got Bellingham. Bring Gordon in for Foden. I'd drop Foden for Gordon. I'd drop Trippier for Shaw. And I might even bring, I'd think about bringing Cole Palmer in to the alongside, slightly change it. Do the Christmas tree. You know what I mean? So it's just a slight variation, but not much of a one. Slight variation, whereby you'd have him in alongside Rice and Gallagher, or if you're going to stick with Arnold, Rice and Arnold, and then you've got Saka, Kane, and Gordon up front.
We'll see. He's not historically, he's not one for major changes, Southgate. So will he? We'll see whether he sticks or twists in about just under 48 hours time. I lost my thread ever so slightly with Kyle Walker's post-match interview after Denmark. Another thing he did say, which gets trotted out an awful lot, and he kind of touched on it a little bit with the whole, would you be happy at this stage to be in control of your destiny with one game to go? He said, paraphrasing again, let's take the positives. We're top of the group. We're in control of our destiny. We control who wins the group. It's down to us. So are we, and I mean the royal we, not just you and I, the media and the fans, are we too keen to jump on the negatives, or should we be looking a bit more at, well, hang on a sec, you know, okay, we haven't played brilliantly, but we are top, and it is in our hands still. I think you probably argue either way there, just like most
Yeah, you could do. Yeah, you could argue either
discussion
way.
points, really.
I just think the better informed supporters, and I think the fair-minded critics, and I think the fair-minded media, with an open mind, but with a good experience of football, they would suggest that if you're going to be a championship winning side, then that stays as a competent 1-0 win. And I think the alarm bells have started to ring as a consequence of the way it turned in the second half. I mean, we're hanging on. And then you've got ridiculous things going on. And we ended up much like the first game, where it just like deteriorated over the period of this, the final third of the game, the final 30 minutes, so, but even that one, they made a couple of adjustments, and the game before they made a couple of adjustments. Left back got a rocket up his arse, and then they changed the thing with Saka, shut the line off, got more possession. They had a geezer recovering to double up on him, backwards to square, and so get him in here. And they won a lot more possession in the first one. So that's 2 games now. So I think any fair-minded supporter, it's not about expectation, it's about knowing the game, and any championship winning side is going to be like tonight. Didn't play particularly well, but unbelievably percentage, good habit. You've cracked, right? The Germans, you understand? They nick an equaliser. Now, that's the wherewithal to pull something out of the bag that you don't expect. And that's what makes a championship winning side or a cup winning side, whether it's club level or international level. That's my opinion.
Well, that's the Germans. They've won the group now, so it is very our permutations, and very good. We're down to 2 minutes, just so you're aware. Our permutation on Tuesday is if somehow it ends up we finish second, that's who we've got in the next round. So on that side of the coin, I'll take Kyle Walker's positive attempted spin that it is in our hands and we can win the group, and therefore we can avoid the Germans and potentially play someone in third place. But it's ifs, ands, and buts, and I'm sure we'll talk again next week. But
which becomes a different problem, because you're in a no-win situation. You play a third place side, and they go, "Oh, what if we beat England? What a scalp that'll be." You understand? So it's a different problem. But yeah, fair enough. But I just think any fair-minded person saw it and they just thought, "No, this is not good enough. This is unacceptable." But dare I say it, unprofessional. It looked unprofessional. You're talking about some of the passing and the breakdown in passing and the slipping over and the giving of the ball. It looked like low-level non-league to me. Literally, and it saps the confidence. Again, I've been there. You have days where everything you ping is unbelievable, and then there's other days everything you ping, you couldn't hit a barn door. You know what I mean? And it saps your confidence. That's the time then. Dario always used to say, "Let's go back, start small, build your way up again." So you 5, 6 yards up to your 10, 15, 20, then you start spraying it again.
That's a very good point to leave it on. Let's build it up again, England. Let's build it up again. So about 20 seconds left. So very quickly, thank you very much again from me. John, I'll probably try and continue to do these throughout the tournament. Thank you very much for your support all.
Thanks for your time, Rob, again. And thanks everyone who takes the time and trouble to watch. Okay, we'll speak next time after Tuesday.
Fingers